The system is rigged. It's a bad system. It's a dirty system. And we're going to do something about it. And maybe that'll take place the next time around, meaning in 4 years. But the system is a bad, bad system. And they got to do something about it. The Republican National Committee, they better get going. Because I'll tell you what, you're going to have a rough July at that convention. You better get going, and you better straighten out the system. Because the people want their vote. The people want to vote, and they want to be represented properly. It's totally corrupt politics, and it's happening. In all fairness, the last person that's a fan of Bernie, I'm no fan of Bernie, but he went to see the Pope, 5 minutes. Then he came out, he said, we talked about the environment, we talked about global warming, we talked about all these different things. And I said, wait a minute, he was only there 5 minutes. So the Pope gave him 5 minutes. I wonder why the Pope gave him 5. He shouldn't have given him that much time, really. But say what you want about Bernie Sanders. He wins, he wins, he wins, he wins, he wins. And then you watch the pundits and they say, but he can't win. You know why? Because the system is corrupt. Because the system is broken. And the Democrats have a different system. They have superdelegates, but our system is worse than theirs. In our system, they're not even voting. The bosses are picking the delegates. And it's a very bad thing. Despite all of that, you know who's going to win? We're going to win. We're going to win, despite all of that.
Thank you. Okay, by the way, it's my pleasure, my honor to be able to present Donald Trump with an award from the oldest police organization in the country, New York Veteran Police Association, number one. I just want to say we go back, when I say we go back, Donald and I've been having dialogue with Donald Trump's staff since June of last year. When Donald Trump decided to run for president of the United States on June 16th of 2015, July 4th, we had a board meeting, and we decided to back and support Donald Trump for president of the United States of America. We did that back, thank you. It's really a dual pleasure because we are the first. We're the first law enforcement association in the country, even before the Border Patrol, which I'm glad you got their endorsement. And if anyone knows about immigration, illegal immigration, it's the United States Border Patrol, and they endorsed Donald Trump. But I have to say this, we did it in July 4th of last year. I just want to touch on a few things. I know he runs all over the country, Donald Trump. I've been speaking with Donald Trump's campaign manager last year, Corey Lewandowski, and then the New York campaign person, Campbell Burr. And every time I have a conversation with them since last year, they keep saying, on behalf of Donald Trump, we thank you and your organization. Every time I speak to them, as recent as this morning, we thank you for supporting Donald Trump. I want to set the record straight. It's our privilege and our honor. We thank you, Donald Trump. We thank you for devoting your time, your money, and a lot of energy, into running for president of the United States. Again, I just want to touch on some issues that are very dear to us as many of us are, we say veterans. We're the veterans on the war on crime in this country. And no one knows more than Donald Trump how important law enforcement is. Obviously, he's a supporter of the military, the veterans, and law enforcement throughout the country. Immigration, illegal immigration, of course, is important to us because for years and years, many of us have been arresting illegal immigrants who are committing rape, robbery, murder. And so we are really touched by it. So we understand how important it is. Now, obviously, people say, well, you know, your parents or maybe your grandparents or your great-grandparents, we all came from another country. But have we forgotten? There was a wall then. The wall was Ellis Island. Everybody that came, their parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents, they were screened, and many of them were sent back. They didn't come over a fence, under a fence, through a hole in the fence, or from Islamic radical ISIS country. They came in the American way, and that's what Donald Trump represents, the American way, and that's why he has our complete support. And Donald Trump, not only do we thank you, we humbly thank you. At this time, I'd like to present, I'm going to say I'm taking advantage of calling him Donald.
You call me Donald.
Okay, like I can guarantee you this, next year we'll be calling him Mr. President. It's our pleasure, the New York Veteran Police Association, to present Donald J. Trump with the America's Finest Award. The award reads, for your dedication, your concern, and your support for America's law enforcement community. We know you will make America great again. And the year and the date, July 4th, 2015. That's when we endorse Donald Trump. Pleasure.
Well, I want to thank Lou and everybody. It's such an honor, and I heard about this, and I said, we have to do it, and we should do it on Staten Island if possible, right? Because we love Staten Island, and we love New York. This is just an amazing place. You know, we talked about New York values, and the other night I was talking about it. Actually, we have a sold-out house. The owner of the hotel just came up to see me, Lou, and he said, this is the biggest, and his wife, there they are right there, said this is the biggest crowd we've ever had. And the hotel is lovely, and you've done a great job. Is this your all-time record crowd? Come on over here, Ron. I just want to prove it, because the press never believes anything I say. So, but I don't believe anything they say, so it's equal. Your biggest crowd, these people have done a fantastic job in putting on the event, and I want to thank you. Great hotel. Great hotel. Thank you very much. And later on, as you know, we're going to Poughkeepsie, and we have a big crowd there. We always seem to have big crowds, but we've been all over the state, and we've seen what's been happening with the state and with the country. Our jobs are being dissipated. They're being taken like candy from a baby, and they're going to Mexico. They're going to every place. And I guess today the top story on Drudge is China's upset with the fact that I'm talking about them negatively from a financial standpoint, that I mentioned the fact that they're ripping us off, and so I responded. I think you'll like actually the response. The response was the kind of response we should have been giving them for many, many years. So if you folks have any questions, but before you do that, I just want to say, you people have done an unbelievable job. And a lot of times you don't get the kind of acclaim or respect that you should be getting. And with me, you get it, but with the public, you do get it. You don't hear about it from the press. But with the public, you do get it, and we just want to thank you all because we have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that you do. So Lou and everybody, thank you very much. Okay, questions? Yes, John?
Yesterday in Syracuse, sir, you said that the Republican National Committee could be in for a, quote, rough July of this delegate selection season. What did you mean by rough July?
Well, it's a rigged election. Now, I'm winning by a lot, And a lot of people say, don't complain, you're winning. And I think we'll get there on the first ballot, actually. And we're going to have a big day, hopefully, in New York, because I love New York. And a guy like Cruz, you heard his statement on values, New York values. And I can't imagine any New Yorker voting for Cruz. And he can't beat Hillary. I'm going to beat Hillary. In fact, you notice her commercials came out there about me. They don't even talk about Cruz. She's only concerned about me. Now, Kasich is interesting. He's never had a negative commercial. Nobody's ever hit him. Nobody knows he's there. And so he does well. He does okay because nobody talks about him. With me, I think I saw on Fox, 55,000 negative ads. And despite that, I'm leading by a lot. But I think it's about the voters. It's not about the bosses. And I'm here to show that it's about the voters. And we're going to show that it's about the voters. And I win all the time when it's up to the voters. When it's up to the bosses, we didn't play in Colorado because I heard that it was going to be for the bosses, for the RNC, for the people. So I'm not going to waste a lot of money. Don't forget, I'm self-funding. So when I spend money, it's my money. It's not some PAC's money where people are giving it just because they want to have influence and they want their local politician or their politician to do what they want to do. So we didn't play there. We didn't play in Wyoming because the game was rigged. And I don't want to go 6-7 months before because that's what you have to do. Take them on trips, put them in hotel rooms, do the whole thing. I don't want to play that game. I'm winning with the voters, and we're winning big. And I think we'll get to the 1237. Well, I think the people that are for me, of which there are many millions, many millions of people have voted in our primaries. Many, and you'll see it tomorrow also. Many millions of people have voted more than voted 4 years ago. You know that. They came out for me. They didn't come out for Lion Ted Cruz. They didn't come out for Kasich. They don't know who Kasich is. Nobody does. They came out for me. And these are people that in many cases have never voted. These are very smart people, very, very strong people. And when they see what's going on. They see, as an example, the RNC said, we never changed the rules. Well, that's wrong. Because I announced on June 16th in, as you know, Colorado, and in August, they changed the rules in Colorado. I'm in June and August because they saw how well I would have done in Colorado. So they changed the rules. They changed the rules in Florida so that the winner gets all. They didn't know that I was going to win. That was a good one, Lou. They changed the rules because they thought Bush was going to win. Winner get all, except they had a problem. Trump won. I got all. So I got 99 delegates. But they didn't mean that to happen. It wasn't done for that reason. So sometimes you get lucky. But if you look at Wyoming, it's the same thing. But just so you understand, they kept saying, we didn't change the rules, we didn't touch the rules. They totally did. I came out in June. They saw I was going to win Colorado easily with the voters, which is most important. So they changed the rules, and they took the voters out of it. And they had the party bosses make the selection. So that's the way it goes. Okay, yeah, Katie. Because I don't want to play the rule game. I'll tell you why. Because we live in a democracy, and it's all about getting the bosses out. The bosses are picking that. Now, I'm winning. You will say, I'm winning by 200 delegates. I'm winning, more importantly, in my opinion, I'm winning by over 2 million votes. In other words, I've gotten more than 2 million votes. And other than the fact that I have 17 candidates starting, throughout the process, we had 17 then dropping out, I would be leading Hillary Clinton by millions and millions of votes. I heard her say during the debate, I have 1 million votes more than Donald Trump. She's got Bernie, a socialist, and I've got 17 governors, senators, guys like Ben Carson, who's fantastic. I have all these guys running. So I have 17 people. She's got 1. And if we didn't have 17, I'd be leading her by probably 4 million votes. Because you have to change. I'll tell you why. I understand the question. You have to change. It has to be changed. Now, it's not going to happen probably this time, although they're watching a lot closer. In fact, they announced they're not going to be making rules changes now because the public is really angry, and the Republicans are really angry. The voters are really angry. It's got to change. Now, in 4 years, it's going to change, so I've done something. In 4 years, it's going to change. It's not going to be this way in 4 years. But you're going to have a very, very upset and angry group of people at the convention. Now, I hope that doesn't happen because if I win, people are going to be very happy. Well, I hope it doesn't involve violence. I hope it doesn't. And I'm not suggesting that. I hope it doesn't involve violence. And I don't think it will. But I will say this. It's a rigged system. It's a crooked system. It's 100% crooked. The bosses, is that a correct? And these people know it better.
Absolutely.
It's a crooked. They're not here for this reason, to be honest. But this is, they understand law enforcement better than anybody else. It's a corrupt and crooked system where you're allowed to take delegates. Look, nobody has better toys than I do. I can put them in the best planes and bring them to the best resorts anywhere in the world. Doral, Mar-a-Lago. I can put them in the best places in the world. California, I have something that blows everything away. But it's a corrupt system. You're basically buying these people. You're basically saying, delegate, listen, we're going to send you to Mar-a-Lago on a Boeing 757. You're going to use the spa. You're going to this, you're going to that. We want your vote. That's a corrupt system. That has nothing to do with democracy. So here's the story. I'm winning by a lot. I think we're going to win the 1237. I think we're not going to have the second ballot. I just tell you, though, despite what I just said, it's a corrupt system and it's a rigged system. And I think for future years, the Republican Party should change. Okay?
Mr. Trump, you've warned of a rough July. You've warned that millions of people won't vote for a Republican in November if you don't get the nomination. It sounds like there's no scenario under which you would accept a vote at the convention that would make somebody other than you the nominee.
Well, I can't say that. I have to see how I'm treated and how these people... I'm representing many millions of people. The Republican Party in the primaries are up 72%, which is astronomical. The Democrats are down 35%. I mean, you people, those are the numbers. An amazing thing has happened. The Republican Party, which people don't think of it in terms of going up, they think of it in terms of getting smaller, smaller, smaller every year. They're up 72% because voters are coming and voting. Some of them for the first time because they never had a candidate that they wanted to vote for. They're great people. They're great Americans. But it's up 72%. The Democrats are down 35%. And I'll tell you what, we're getting independents, we're getting Democrats to vote, and we're getting, to me, makes me very happy, people that have never voted before. And let me tell you, if you disenfranchise those people, you're going to have some very upset people. Yes, go ahead.
A contested convention that would make somebody else the nominee? Would you rally the party to unite?
Jeremy, it's too early to say. I have to see. I have to see how it's handled, and I have to see what level of fairness. These millions of people who I'm representing, you understand, I have far more votes than anybody, including Hillary, because I had 17 people. She had Bernie. Okay, Bernie. Oh, Bernie. Lou, you guys aren't big into socialism or communism, are you? I don't think you're going for a communist, are you, Lou? Okay. Go ahead back there.
We're in your home city of New York City where people know you the best. Why haven't you held a rally like you had?
Oh, I have. Excuse me. I had rallies, the biggest rallies in New York. We had 21,000 people in Albany. We had, well, I'm going up to Poughkeepsie in a little while. You know why? To be honest with you, because the polls are so good and so strong that I really want to focus on areas where they know me, but they don't know me as well. No, not at all. We've had virtually nothing. I'll tell you truthfully, the press doesn't cover it that way. And I've said it yesterday in a couple of days. The safest, I was in Watertown yesterday. We had tremendous crowds, and with tremendous crowds everywhere. Albany was unbelievable. We were in Rochester, unbelievable. Rome, our Rome, not the Rome that we think about. I think about our Rome. Rome, tremendous crowds. We have very little protesters. And every once in a while somebody raises their hand, they get ushered out. The safest places to be in this country, virtually, are at a Trump rally. Unfortunately, the press doesn't cover it that way. Yeah. Yeah, I know it very well, and I've had property on Staten Island. In fact, when I grew up during the summers, I used to work on Staten Island. My father had Grimes Hill. It was in the Grimes Hill section, which a couple of you folks know about, right? But the Grimes Hill section of Staten Island, which is really nice. And I love Staten Island and Tyson's Park. And I worked on Staten Island for 4 summers. I love it. It's a great piece. The greatest people. These people are incredible people. Well, I just had stats done because I'm making a speech in a couple of minutes. And if you look at the number of jobs that are being lost, it's incredible. It's incredible. 25% of the manufacturing jobs. And I mean, it's an unbelievable stat. And I noticed because before I go to every community, I do like a stat sheet. I have my people give me the stats. And they're all the same. Wage jobs, way down. Food stamps, way up. It's like they're almost interchangeable. The numbers are slightly different, but they're interchangeable. No, they have to have jobs. This country needs jobs. I noticed Ted Cruz the other day follows my line, jobs. Well, he never used to say that. He's saying it because I get the crowds and I'm getting the response, and he's not getting the voters. He gets the bosses, and I could get the bosses easier than him if I wanted them. I'm good with bosses. I'm the greatest with bosses. I just don't want them. I don't want them. It's not about that anymore. Yes, ma'am.
A lot of staffers recently to focus on the delegate game. That's what the aim is now. What's the role now of your pre-existing staffers, like Mr. Lewandowski?
Corey's right here.
What's his role
Did
in
a
the
good
campaign?
job. Totally exonerated from that bogus nonsense from somebody that made a bogus claim, who, by the way, if you look at the tape, it bore no relationship to what she said happened. And I tell you, I really have a lot of respect for the people in Florida for looking at that fairly. I really do. I have great respect for the prosecutor and for the police for taking a look at that clip and realizing that she misrepresented. I have great respect for that. And he's good. That was a weight on his shoulder. I mean, I saw it had a huge impact on him with his family, and he's got 4 beautiful children and wonderful wife in New Hampshire. And I'll tell you what, that was a very unfair thing that happened to him. Very, very unfair. So I'll say it. Okay, do one more. Go. Oh, I don't want to talk about an old election. That's all I need to do. I don't want to talk. I'll tell you what, though. Voters to me are very important. Yes, go ahead. Did you have one? What, a surge operation?
Thousands of Syrian refugees get to 10,000 numbers.
They can't screen them. They have no documentation. You can't screen a person with no documentation. They have no written documents whatsoever. So there's nothing you can do. Go ahead, one more. I have a lot of them. There's about 12. Go ahead. Nino's good. I'm going to come up with something on colleges because I'll tell you what, the biggest question I get are from young people that have gone to college, have done well, very good colleges, and they come to me and it's turmoil for them. They're loaded up with debt and they can't get a job. And I'm going to have policy on that very, very soon. And I'll tell you what, it's so important. It's such a big issue. I'll see you inside, folks. Thank you very much. And Lou, thank you and your group, most importantly.
A lot of staffers recently to focus on the delegate
Yeah.
game. That's what the aim is now. What's the role now of your pre-existing staffers,
Still
like
here,
Mr.
very
Lewandowski?
good. Corey's right here.
What's his role
Did a
in the
good
campaign?
job. Totally exonerated from that bogus nonsense from somebody that made a bogus claim, who, by the way, if you look at the tape, it bore no relationship to what she said happened. And I tell you, I really have a lot of respect for the people in Florida for looking at that fairly. I really do. I have great respect for the prosecutor and for the police for taking a look at that clip and realizing that she misrepresented. I have great respect for that. And he's good. That was a weight on his shoulder. I mean, I saw it had a huge impact on him with his family, and he's got 4 beautiful children and wonderful wife in New Hampshire. And I'll tell you what, that was a very unfair thing that happened to him. Very, very unfair. So I'll say it.
Hello, Staten Island! Hello, Staten Island! Is this for me? Wow, this is great. Great turnout. I had a whole speech. I'm not even going to give it. I don't want to keep this crowd away from Donald Trump. I want to report to you, though, one great thing. Donald Trump just was in the other room getting the endorsement of a very important group, the New York State Veteran Police Officers, because he loves law enforcement. Donald Trump is a supporter of our police, and I know so many people here on Staten Island. Border Patrol agents also endorsed him this week. But that's it. Without further ado, I have the honor of introducing the next president of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Oh, boy. Thank you, everybody. No place like Staten Island, let's face it. Right? I've worked in Staten Island probably 5 summers. And my father always said, Staten Island, that's a great place. And, you know, I'm his son. He viewed safety. I mean, we have safety on Staten Island, right? You know who the safety is? Great police. Great police. They don't get enough credit. But we have great people on Staten Island, and I know it so well. And Grimes Hill and Tyson's Park and all of it. I love you, too. I love you, too. I was just with the owner of the hotel, great guy, and his wife, who's much better than him, actually. And he said, this is the biggest crowd we've ever had in this hotel by far. There's people outside, there's people all over the place. So that's a tribute. That's a tribute to the folks that put on the dinner. That's a tribute. And Joe, where's Joe? I want to thank you, Joe. Great job. Great job. Just so you know, I'm sure you're not aware of this, there aren't too many Republicans on the council. Do we agree with that, Joe? Huh? 3. Okay. I thought there'd be 1. Yeah? That's okay. Good job. That tells me you're really good, right? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody. So, you know, coming out, and we have a big day. Folks, you have to get out tomorrow. And tomorrow, tomorrow you're going to do the following. You're going to get people, right? And then Tuesday, you're going to take all of those people you get, and we're going to have a landslide victory, and we're going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. So, tomorrow, get everybody you can, and Tuesday, get them all together and get down, because I'll tell you what, we have something. Now, you know what's an honor? Here's what's an honor. That we have 1,700 people, and that's only because of the walls. Hey, get the owner to build a larger hotel. Come here. Owner! Build a larger room. We want this room expanded next year, okay? But what's a great honor is look at you. Nobody's sitting down. No, not one person is sitting down, so sit down. Go ahead. Now, how many times... I mean, if Lion Ted Cruz came here, you would never stand up like that, I can tell you. Who, by the way, hates New York. Who hates New York. And the other one, you know, the Kasich, he comes in. Nobody knows who he is. And somebody said he did okay against Hillary. He hasn't had one negative ad. Nobody's hit him. Wait till they hit him. So here's the story. And we just came out, a great Fox poll just came out yesterday on me and Hillary. I love this poll. Let me tell you, the one person she doesn't want to run against. You know that. Who? Now, the one person she doesn't want. You know, it's you know the story. It's crooked Hillary. She's as crooked as they come. And I'll tell you what, we are going to beat her so badly. And I'm going to do things that no other Republican that's running can do, or any Republican, period. I think, no, beyond. We have to get to the position. Don't forget this. I think we're going to make our delegates fairly easily. And I think we're going to be fine. I think the convention is going to be unity. I hope it's going to be unity because the Republican Party needs unity. It really needs unity. But when I get the nomination, we're going to come together and we're going to win New York. And if we win New York, no other person can do. You won't see. If it weren't me, it's going to be. If it weren't me, you would never see any candidate even come to New York and spend time in New York because there's zero chance that anybody can win New York for many, many years. For decades, New York has not been won. And that's why you see the big poll numbers. Don't believe the polls. Go out and vote. Don't believe the polls. You know, the worst thing, they'll say, oh, Trump's going to do well. I don't have to vote. The more we win by, the... Let me tell you. Sorry. That guy's a professional agitator. No, it's true. The safest place to be anywhere is at a New York rally. It's true. A New York rally headed by Trump is the safest place you can be. There's love in the room. There's love in the room. I was up yesterday, and I've been all over the state. I was in Syracuse. I've been all over. Big crowds, 20,000, 21,000 in Albany, a beautiful arena, by the way, 21,000. We were all over Rochester, and it's the safest place. And I say it all the time because the press refuses to say it. Now, I love you too, darling. They'll show this professional. You hear the way he got up and he stood, he's dressed all nicely. He's not for real. They'll show this guy. They'll say Trump had a protester in Staten Island. That'll be like 90% of the story. They won't say that we have a record crowd, the biggest in the history of a hotel that's how many years old? Come here. The owner. How old is this hotel? 15. It's 15 years old, so we have I thought it was, it looks very good. I was going to say I think it was older, but I'm not going to say that. Something nice about old. 15 years, the biggest crowd. Look, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, a man stood up and he started shouting. And did you see that guy? That guy's a professional guy. He was paid to be here probably. Okay, so let me just tell you. First of all, nobody has more fun than we do at our rallies. Do you agree with that? Nobody. And second of all, we have all this live television. It's always live. It's live. Look, there it is right up there. Look. Look, there it is. We're live, always live. Someday I wish you'd turn off the live television, then we could really have fun, right? It's always live. But let me give you, there's no place that's more fun, and there's no better people. And I have to say this, because we are on live television. We have to bring this country together. We have to unify this country. White, African American, men, women, young, old. We have to bring not just the people, we have to bring our country together and remember it. And I'm a unifier. A lot of people smile when I say that. They think, oh, I want safety, I want security for our country, I want strong borders, we're going to have a wall, we're going to stop the drugs from coming in, we're going to have a war, believe me. Believe me. I mean, today, on the top of Drudge, Matt Drudge is a phenomenal person, a phenomenal guy. It's a big deal, top of Drudge. China is upset with Donald Trump. How dare them? So they go, they're upset. No, here's the story, the biggest story, top of Drudge, big story. China is upset because of the way Donald Trump is talking about trade with China. They're ripping us off, folks. It's time. I'm so happy they're upset. They haven't been upset with us in 30 years. They're never upset. I mean, we have a trade deficit with China of $500 billion a year, okay? They tax, and you know, they said we're not living up to treaties. They're the ones that don't live up to the agreements because they tax. I have friends, they're manufacturers, they can't get their product into China, and when they do, they have to pay a tax on it. And let me tell you, it's them that's the problem. And they're going to treat us fairly, and they're going to treat us justly, or it's bye-bye, bye-bye. And what we don't know because our leaders are incompetent, or, by the way, they're taken care of by the special interests, which also happens. You know, like Ted Cruz, he's got the oil industry, he's got all these people. Let me just tell you, they're taken care of by the special interests and the lobbyists, 100%. Because a friend of mine came up to me recently and said, Donald, I don't understand. Why would they have approved this deal? And a particular senator, why would he do it? Is he stupid? I said, no, he's very smart. He got huge campaign contributions. That's the only reason he's doing it. The guy said, but it's so bad for the country. I said, this senator couldn't care less about the country. He just cares about his campaign contributions. I'm self-funding my campaign. Okay? So, you know, I tell the story all the time. I love the story. Could be any company, but Carrier just left, as you know, Indiana. Indianapolis, Indiana. Great place, great city, tremendous people. And they just left. And they fired viciously 1,400 people. And they moved to Mexico. They said, we're moving to Mexico. You gotta see, many of you have seen the clip on television. It's all over the place. They say, sorry, we're moving to Mexico. Everyone's essentially fired, right? Like The Apprentice, you're fired. Vicious. No, vicious, though. And they're gonna move to Mexico. And here's what they're going to do. They're going to make air conditioning. They make good product. I buy a lot of Carrier. I'm not buying them anymore, by the way. They make good product. They make good product. So they're going to move to Mexico. They're going to build a plant. They're going to sell it to the United States. They'll go through our Swiss cheese border. They're going to, but not if I'm president. It's not going to be Swiss cheese anymore. Oh, that's going to be a border. And by the way, people will come into our country, but they're coming in legally, folks. Legally, okay? Coming in legally. So they'll make their product and they'll sell their air conditioning units and they come in, no tax, no nothing. And here's what I do. My wife always says, please, please be more presidential. In other words, don't be so tough. We need toughness. Hey, by the way, in this room, I would say 95% of the people disagree with her, okay? Ivanka, my daughter too, she said, Dad, in the last debate, you know, I've won every debate according to all of the sites that do the polls. I've won every, I didn't know about debating. I never debated. I mean, I debate. My whole life is a debate. But the politicians, all they do is debate, right? They debate. Every night they debate. So who knew it was going to work out this way? And I've been center stage every single debate, meaning number one. Every single. We've been leading every single debate. But here's what we're going to do. So my daughter and my wife, they say, please, please, act more. So the last debate, I was much more, I was like this. And, you know, they'd hit me a little bit, and I'd go, instead of hitting back. And I did well. It was much less exciting than the other debates, for one thing. I guarantee. And I won that debate. I actually won that debate by bigger numbers. So maybe they're not. But it was by far the most boring debate. Okay, that I can tell you. But here's what I'd do with Carrier. I'd say, congratulations on your new plant. Have many, many years of success. But here's the problem, and here's the bad news. Every unit that you make and that you send across our now very strong border, you're going to pay a 35% tax on that unit. Okay? Now, folks, and Staten Island has it. I have all your statistics here. I don't want to read them to you because you'll be depressed, okay? But I say that. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to call, and they're going to have lobbyists call me. They didn't give me any money. I've turned down, I'll bet you, if I wanted to, I would have raised at least $500 million. You know, Bush, Jeb, he had the biggest one. No, Jeb had $148 million. Think of it. We go to New Hampshire. Jeb was expected to win New Hampshire big, right? So I went in a landslide, and I spent a tiny fraction. I spent $2 million, even less. And he spent many, many, many times that. And I said to myself, who do we want? Same thing, South Carolina. I spend a very little. Everyone else spends. Cruz was supposed to win there. He got killed there. Remember, Cruz was going to win. That was his wall, they said. That was his wall. Lion Ted. Lion Ted was supposed to win South Carolina. I won in a landslide. But here's the beautiful thing. We're New Yorkers. We're smart. We have New York values. And let me tell you, the country respects these values. Because who would you rather have? The person that came in #1 and has spent less than anybody else by far, or the person that's down at the bottom of the pack and spent more money than anybody else by far, okay? So I've spent, you know, relatively speaking, I've spent far less money than anybody else. We didn't play in Colorado because it was run by the bosses. I only won. And by the way, just so you know, they lie. They lie. It's all a rigged deal. They lie. They lie. Let me tell you, they said we didn't change anything. Well, they did. I announced in June. I then heard that Colorado, I was going to win big, like I did in Florida. I won big in Florida, landslide. So it was a landslide. But I heard that we were going to win big. We did some internal stuff. We were going to win Colorado big. Okay, so it's June. We're doing well all over. Almost from the beginning, we've been #1, right? Almost like it took a couple of weeks to get the message out. But once the message was out, which is jobs, trade, strong military, take care of our vets, get rid of Obamacare, and replace it with something great. Take care of our Second Amendment, which is under siege. We're going to take care of it. Terminate totally Common Core, bring education locally back to Staten Island. So once they heard the message, I mean, it was over. I mean, it was over. And I can only tell you this, nobody can beat my message. And remember, so importantly, when I watched Lion Ted the other night say, we will bring jobs back, and we will strengthen our border, and we will build a wall. He said, a wall. I said, where did that come from? Where did it come from? All of a sudden, he's talking about a wall. He told me 6 months ago, you'll never build a wall. And by the way, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. They all came up, 100%. 100%. Mexico's going to pay for the wall 100%. Now, here's the story. We have a trade deficit with, and I love Mexico. I love the Mexican people. I love the Hispanic people. I'm winning in the polls in Nevada. I won tremendous Hispanic population. I was #1 in the polls with Hispanics by far because they know I'm going to bring jobs back to this country. So what happens is I see these people, and now they're copying me. They're copying me on so many things. Remember I said, keep the oil. We should have never gone to Iraq. I never wanted to go to Iraq. I was against it from the beginning. They should have never gone, but now you're there. We're leaving. I said, keep the oil from everybody. Keep the oil. They didn't do it. So now who has the oil? ISIS has the oil. Iran is going to have the oil after that horrible deal. That grossly incompetent deal made with Iran The best deal they made is we handed them Iraq on a silver platter. The second largest oil reserves and the most beautiful oil there is, by the way. Phenomenal quality oil. We gave them Iraq. They've been fighting forever to try, but yet two military powers the same. We gave them Iraq. So we're not going to be the stupid people anymore, folks. We're going to start winning again. We don't win. We never win. We never, ever win. When was the last time you saw a victory for that? We don't win on trade. We don't win for our vets. Our military is being decimated with cuts and everything else at a time when we most need our military than ever before. I mean, we have nuclear weapons that we don't even know if they work. And I wouldn't say this except stupidly they allowed this to go on 60 Minutes, a big television program, where they talk about telephone systems that are 40 years old and the wires they can hardly hear on the other side. This is what we have. Russia is upgrading their nuclear capacity and capability, and we do nothing, and we have stuff that's so old and so rotted that we don't even know if it works. It's going to be a whole different ballgame, folks. It's going to be a whole different ballgame. You know, Vladimir Putin said Donald Trump is a genius. He's going to do very well. That's a real genius. So he said, great. So these people that I'm running against, we want you to disavow his statement. I said, are you crazy? I'm not going to disavow that statement. Believe me, he's not going to get anything with that statement, except this. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with Russia? Wouldn't it be nice? It would be okay. It's not so bad. I can think of other places to spend our money, all right? So here's the story. We're going to have a really big thing happening on Tuesday. And we've had this wonderful group of people. And look at, you're still standing. You people don't bother sitting down. Has this ever happened before? This has never happened before. No. Look at this. Nobody sits down. Now, the press won't report that. This dishonest media, the most dishonest group of people, they won't report it. Fox is not going to report it. A new reporter will take his place. Fox won't report it. What's going to happen is this. I hope you heard that, John. What's going to happen is this. They're going to say, we're in Staten Island. Donald Trump just made a speech. Thank you very much. Good luck. They're not going to say that the audience was packed, the biggest crowd they've had in 15 years. They're not going to say, don't forget, this is your big dinner. This is your Lincoln Day. But they're not going to say that. They're not going to say that not one person in the audience for a 20-minute speech sat down. Nobody's seen that before. So here's the story. On Tuesday, you're going to go vote. You're going to get everybody you can. You're going to go vote on Tuesday. And when you vote, you're going to look back on that vote and this day, but that vote much more importantly. You're going to look back and you're going to say, that was the greatest vote I've ever cast, ever, ever, ever. You'll be thinking about it in 2 years, in 4 years. Don't worry, we'll get things going fast. And you have to look at my answer, my response to China. You have to look at it because it's what somebody has to say. We can't continue to be ripped off like we're being ripped off, folks. So you've got to look at it. And it's not war. I'm not talking about war. But they have waged economic war against us. What China has done, you know, we have rebuilt China, just so I hope you're all happy with that. In the meantime, you can't get funding for your schools in Staten Island, right? Or your roads, which have potholes, I hate to say. So, just so you understand, we have rebuilt China. They have bridges going up. They have railroads like you've never seen. We have the old Long Island Railroad. Chug, 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 chug. It runs into a train in front of it. You saw that the other day, a big collision where they have collisions. And it's like we're a third world country, folks. Not going to happen anymore. They have trains that go 250 miles an hour. We have old stuff. So thank you, honey. So here's the story. Here's the story. What China's done to us, and this is only one country. I hate to use them, but they're the biggest abuser. They abuse us. It's beyond belief. And I'm not angry at China. In fact, I respect them. I made a lot of money dealing with China, a tremendous amount of money. I built a great company. I made a tremendous amount of money. I'm not angry at China. I'm angry at our leaders for being so incompetent that they allow it to happen. So, and I said this as part of my response to the Wall Street Journal when they just called. I said, in the history of the world, this is the greatest theft ever perpetrated on anyone or any country, what China has done to us. It's the greatest single theft. They've taken our jobs. They've taken our money. I mean, I see the buildings that are empty all over Staten Island, and I see them up in Rochester, and I see them in Albany, and I see them in Rome, our Rome. I see them all over. I was out on the island. I was out in Bethpage, and you see what's going on. It's really, really sad. That's not going to happen anymore with me. It's going to be turned around fast, fast. And you know, the truth is we have the card. So here's the story. We don't win anymore. We lose all the time. Our military can't win. We can't beat ISIS. Can you imagine General George Patton, who was so rough that he would be thrown out of the army? Right now, he couldn't even be a general. They'd throw him out. You know why? He's not politically correct. We need less political corrective. Somebody told me that General Patton, on occasion, you know, his soldiers would die for him. General MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur, also great. But General Patton was such a rough guy, he would on occasion slap his soldiers. He would slap them, really in the face, slap them. If that ever happened today, they'd put him in jail for the rest of his life, maybe give him the electric chair, right? It's a whole different, right, Father? Look, I'm looking at the father. Even the father's smiling at me, because he understands what I'm saying. Now, we need our great leaders. We have to fight. We have to fight. You know, we have to stop the oil. And I said, because ISIS is making their money. Libya, which was a pure Hillary Clinton deal, all right? No, pure. So ISIS has now taken over Libya, and they've taken over the oil, and they're selling all Libyan oil, and we don't do blockades. We don't do anything. We're run. How about when they take the oil, how about the truckers? We send down leaflets. We will bomb your truck. Please remove yourself from the truck. In 1 hour, we will start bombing your truck. Do you believe? No, do you believe this? Then I also heard, but this must be a joke, I also heard the reason we're not doing big damage to the oil fields is because environmental protection. They don't want to do it because of no. And at first I said they're kidding. But now I heard that's really true. It's like a strategy. They don't want to create an environmental problem. Can you believe this? This is it. Tell that to George Patton. Tell that to George Washington, okay? Tell it to anybody. They would look back. They would say, what is going on with our great, great country? What is going on? So we're going to make America great again. Ready? We're going to start winning again. We're going to win with our military. We're going to win for our vets. We're going to win on our borders. We're going to build the wall. We're going to win on our borders. We're going to win with trade. We're going to go from the worst deals ever made to great, great trade deals. We're going to bring our economy back and our jobs back. To Staten Island, too. We're going to win on education. We're going to win on the Second Amendment. And we are going to win on health care. We're going to win so much. And I do this, and I kid with it, and I have fun with it, but it's true. We're going to win so much. We're going to win, win, win. You people are going to get so tired of winning. You're going to say, please, Mr. President, let's have a couple of losses. And I'm going to say, no way. We're going to keep winning, and we're going to make America great again. Thank you, Staten Island. I love you, Staten Island. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Get out and vote. Tuesday, get out and vote.